Hello?
Brother Jesse.
Yes, sir.
Oh, good, good. So you on?
Yeah. I pushed some buttons and then I've been on for a
All
couple
right,
minutes.
hold on. We are on live right now. Push your screen down so we can see your face.
All right, you want me to cut my phone off?
No, leave that right where it is. Push your screen down so we can see your face. Right there. Good. Okay, family, well, listen, we finally got the guests on. Wow, that's beautiful. I appreciate your patience and whatever, but we're gonna carry on as we usually do. Family, I'd like to thank you for supporting the men's room. This is Dr. Sadiki Baye, your host of the men's room. We're on live in Philadelphia every week at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is the room, family, for the Black men, the warriors, the heads, the leaders, the providers of our communities. We want to present ourselves as progressive people because we are the shakers and the movers in the community. Some of us are shakers and movers, and we have evidence of that by what we are doing. Most of us are businessmen, we're educators, we're leaders, we're teachers. We are the example. And so today we have a guest. Somebody's mic is on. I think it's Manny. Can you turn your mic off, please? Appreciate that. Thank you. So we have a guest today. He's a master electrician. He's a community activist. The brother, he's an elder. He's been around for a long time, and he knows a lot about our journey from when he was a little boy all the way up to right now. So we want to present to you Brother Jesse Bartley. Welcome, brother.
Thank you, sir.
Now, I would like to start off, Warrior, by saying that, or asking you, or to give us a little background on where you came from and what brought you up to being the master electrician that you are, and giving us some highlights of your experiences getting to the point where you are today.
Okay, I was born in Strawberry Mansion.
Strawberry where?
That's like 31st and Cumberland, 30th and Cumberland.
In Philadelphia.
And yes, my mother and a father and 5 children. We grew up. Then in the mid 60s, like 68, 67, like all Most fathers that had a load to take care of, they moved into bigger houses, Mount Airy, Germantown, whatever like that. They did what they had to do with no problem. And as far as opportunities concerned, Philadelphia is different from everywhere because it started like this. Most of the African America went to war December 7th, 1941. But January 1942, they knew they was going to get Hitler. So they went down south and they told the African Americans down there that when you come up north, it's jobs. And it was plenty of work, especially in construction from the ground down. And so the opportunity that a young child came up that knew nothing but backwoods living was right there. Like almost like forget about the past. All of our fathers and mothers, by the time the early 50s, when they were leaving high school, all of them got married. They started families, not no one child, but as many as the man needed because they appreciate the value of that. But as we grew up, the men worked. So say 5 o'clock, you've seen hundreds of men come home from work every day. So men educated men. So therefore, the weaknesses that we had today, we didn't have that. Our fathers and mothers didn't have that. That was non-existent. That was something to school about. But anyway, the opportunity came where my father worked. We lived around, we moved to Wissahickon and Manheim. But by the time I was 13, but by the time I was 13, I already knew how to fix lawnmower motors. Either cut your lawn or fix your motor. And I had model airplane. Then as we moved around in Germantown, and there was all kinds of work. And the fields of contractors were large size contractors, electricians especially, and general contractors. We had the opportunity and it was taken care of. I worked over in East Germantown. I didn't live in East Germantown. At Sprague and Worcester, at the topside bar, the electrician on the bar, but he was electrical contractor. And they all were prosperous. There was roofers, there was everything that they talked about, we had accomplished that. And so the family was strong. And then you had the Vietnam War, you had your vets came back. So the opportunity presented itself, it was there. I didn't know until I turned 12 or 13 that most of us talk, we didn't know people didn't have no father. We came out of North Philadelphia, that's strong. But we were showcased. People watched us. It's almost like we put you there so we can get out of what we want. They eventually, most of the females, they educated them different. So by the time a sharp, a strong female grew up out of high school, you ain't see her no more. And that changed things. We had, as far as the building trade is concerned, first of all, the African American in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and early 60s had the opportunity to work construction, but basically from the ground down. There was very seldom, very little skilled labor. If you wanted to tell a joke, all you had to do was say you saw a black plumber, or a black plumber even touch some pipe. That was a joke. That was that. And you know, it was accepted. There wasn't nothing you could do. A man hire who he want with his own money. At the exact same time, by 63, they started building Strawberry Mansion High School. Now, mind you, all the men worked that wanted to work. But the strength that we had as a people was you came in with government money and don't hire people that for skill. Now the African American community had to go for it, and Cecil B. Moore stepped in and he marched. He gave them liquor as they turned the corner around Natrona Street. So to keep them hyped up, he drank too. And Cecil B. Moore, with the help of Reverend Leon Sullivan, because if you said you didn't know no trades, that he started OIC. So therefore, skilled labor, electricians, plumbers, carpenters, that skilled labor started openly with Cecil B. Moore. But you wouldn't hardly have no skilled labor without a fight. And that's how all the trades got totally open to the African American. But there always was electricians, now a few, because remember the Army didn't discriminate that much. A lot of electricians came out of Norfolk, the Navy shipyard, civilian and military. So some of them came up. Then the rest of the electricians were engineers. They came over. So you did have a few electricians, union and non-union. And then you had, well, forget plumbing. You had carpentry contractors. As a matter of fact, to prove that we could do the work, number one, the neighborhood around 12th and Diamond. And I used to go to the Church of Annunciation in the basement, the box. That was a proof that the African American could do the work once again, even though the African American did build Yorktown, but they totally did the work around 12th and Diamond, those houses. And they did scatter site construction throughout the city of Philadelphia. But it was a proof that we could do the work. And those buildings stayed right there. Nothing like Osage Avenue with the complaints or nothing like that. That neighborhood was intact. And so therefore there was role models for that. Then in this May of 75, we got together and overnight stopped the gang war, the black men, except West Philly. We let West Philly just walk out of it on their own. And then by the summer of 75, for some, for design, they hired all the black women open, just like that. And it was no such thing really as a racial part. What really happened, because remember, we in the streets watching it. They had to do that to it because South Philadelphia was all Italian mostly. Southwest near the airport, a lot of Italian. But Second Street was German. And the Jews from the 60s lived in West Oak Lane. They lived where they are now. And what happened in Kensington and all that was in other words, in the mid 70s when we stood up, the Caucasian had not integrated into North America. They were divided. Now you see how silly that is, or how immature that is for them to divide each other based on their just colors or whatever, calling them, or tattoos, however. But they were divided. So the Italian girl, she didn't even have to speak English, just go to 9th Street, have his baby. So once they seen the African American woman and the Caucasian male going shopping, all in the suburbs, all on the job, then the Italian girl spoke to the Jewish boy. When they did it before, it had no significance. So therefore, they had to do what they had to do to break up that so they can integrate amongst themselves. How else was the people were supposed to sell the houses in the suburbs? When we came into Germantown and Mount Airy in the 60s, we had no disruption. The whites was cool, but we didn't hang with them because they didn't go nowhere. We didn't know why. The white kids just stayed right out there because they had not integrated. Even on the police force, once they get to drinking, can't no Mick tell me what to do and this, that, and other. So they begin to elevate the police to be captains. This way they could get along because cops drink and cops had guns. So if you wanted the police to get along right, they made the police. So we suffered the ramifications of that. So this Caucasian is not so much the devil, he's a survivor. So therefore, and what happened, we had cousins and nephews that broke up the inbreed. Now you see the physical attributes of that, or the lack of that, by staying in the house, not coming out. People would come from the South. They would visit the South. When they came back, half the neighborhood know who went down there and didn't speak because the people from the Southern lifestyle, the African American, knew how dangerous that is not speaking to one another. Our neighborhoods were family. I know everybody in Germantown. We all know each other just as close, whether we liked each other or not. That value. What happened to us was we was mature, but we didn't know it because we didn't have nobody to measure by. Most people outside of the Black experience didn't know their bloodline because of World War II and attributes, and there were bars on every other corner. So we wasn't as down and out, but because they had just told us that we was nothing, and that their leaders had portrayed us as weak and watered down. Now they got to figure out how to apologize, and they couldn't. This society made sure, no, you're not going to follow them. So people look at us like we're unintelligent. That's why they walk past you and don't speak. But all that does is allow them to walk past you and walk right into the fire. So as African Americans, now you see us rebuilding. because now it's not the baby that died. Babies die. A child died, but the memories of that child, that's what's in the bloodlines. That's what's in the minds of the people. Sometimes it seems crazy because you hear the African American just going against the white man, going against racism, but his soul has been shook up. It's not so much as what he's saying, his heart and his soul. How is it natural for you to look around and everybody that has something don't look like you? And at the same time, we the ones had it first here. I'm not going back 4,000 years. I'm going back in the 60s and 70s. Our fathers and mothers didn't work for nothing. And we forget that. We're going to talk about the history of, first of all, slavery been over with like 150 years. But prior to that, for 3 centuries, they raised us as animals. And the strength and the willpower of African Americans to come through that in one piece is the strength of Almighty God. People say they don't believe in God, but the understanding of God comes through that. The understanding of God of how did we get here when nobody helped us? That's only the God. With nobody standing around you, somehow now you figuring out something is wrong. That's the willpower of God. You got those who sit there and talk just because their grandmother didn't tell him about God. He challenges, but his mind is only reaching out. It's not that he's right and wrong. His mind is reaching out. His soul is deepening. I was around some young men the other day and they was picking up trash. I was in a Manioc. And the young brothers picking up trash was so polite and courteous. When they dropped stuff, they went and picked it up on the ground. But the bottom line is your manners is impeccable. You're at the top of the lot, but you're picking up trash. So now we have become satisfied with floor mopping and toilet wiping because we've been bred to think that long as you be polite, go for that. But the balance isn't there. I want to see the brother driving a plane or the brother navigating a boat or brother doing skilled labor, not just being the balance of just being polite. Yes, the women like that, but now you dealing with other men too. So now all of a sudden you don't see what you do see. You go to the hospital and half the doctors don't look like you, and the ones that do is from other countries. So now the soul of the people is waking up. Not so much as hatred, but it's only human to want what other humans got, you know? And especially since ain't no drugs pulling them down, their natural instinct is coming in. People desire that. The Caucasian looks around and he knows that his children play just as much video games as the others and rap music. He couldn't see it coming because nobody reiterated the thought that the virus starts at the weakest point, but that's where the virus gains its strength. So by you sitting back, watching the confusion in the African American, saying absolutely nothing in the crack generation, because all you know is it caused the African Americans to move away from one another and move into your neighborhood, never mind the consequences. So now you want to know why in this day and age the blacks are saying something. It's a million Umar Johnsons out there that you got to deal with. But at the exact same time, the hearts and souls of the intelligent Caucasians yes, sir, women, the Caucasians and the rest of the world, that part has to be dealt with. The intelligent people. That's how we get where we got. Respect and intelligence. So I'm going to lay with that for a second.
Okay, sir. Can you, in your view and your experiences of our community, you say mom and dad and the children. Okay, we don't have a lot of that today. What in your mind, or what did you experience, or what is your observation of what caused us to split the family up? The man go one way and the woman went the other way and the children trapped in the middle.
Well, remember the common balance in a man's life is once he worked, without his nature told him to raise his family. When we grew up, the women didn't. So once unemployment came in, that was the main staple. But a woman believed in her job, it was understood that even though the women worked, the money she had is for her. The man is supposed to pay the bill. The woman, she could buy clothes or whatever, but the understanding that was that a woman takes care of just the basic things she wants. But when you take away a man's pride, when you take the pride of a man, he has nothing left. So therefore, he becomes confused. When you take his pride, now he's just proud to talk for life. He's proud to just go along to get along. He's proud. He lets his children, his son, be ruled by somebody else. He's so glad that. And when you take his pride, that's what happens. You could put him in prison or don't give him no money because you took the man's pride. But God is a God of justice. This same dog bit you, bit me. The same dog. It's no such thing as God gives something to one person he didn't give to the next. So now you see the world waking up. You see the world on its own waking up. They got to come up with a few more tricks. Certain people now are starting to understand that watching basketball ain't gonna cure your life. The Last Poets brought that down. The Last Poets, some of their greatest songs is about watching basketball. They playing with your ball. Now you see it opening up right again, just like nothing. So that's God. So that has to be dealt with. Yes. So we're in a day and age where no, nature's taking its course. You
Hey,
see the grassroots. I remember the Black Power guys back in the 60s used to say, the truth crushed the earth will always rise again. And now you looking at it. It took a few days, but now we looking at that truth rising up. And another thing, the sisters, we had a meetings, but as the brothers stand up, they gonna find the sisters that's right with them. Now, right now, the black woman ain't worth a quarter in Chinese money. But if you stand up, you'll see the strong sister. Why would she stand up for you when you ain't gonna stand up for her? The same, we came from the same people. So how can she jump out in case and you scared? You ain't gonna stand on nothing. You ain't gonna talk about nothing unless it's through a comedian. Like it's a joke. Or you just so she'll stand up if you stand up. She gets on drugs, you don't help her get off on drugs. You just call her trash like other people do. So that's in us. It's the nature of us to stand up. Just like a baby tries to get up and fall every time, but the baby see us standing up. So therefore, the baby stands up. Then another thing that's strange in African American history, the white man did not lose respect for us until we lost respect for ourselves. Cecil B, you don't hear nobody say nothing bad about Cecil B. Moore. Now, people personally knew him, said he might have drank. But what happened to him was everybody came at him after he started standing up. His workload was tremendous. Muhammad Ali, just a plain, ordinary man that got the spark of life in him. Number one, they talk about him boxing. But Muhammad Ali was the one who stood up. And once he stood up, it caught fire around the world because he represented all oppressed people around the world. It's two people in this entire world that's known forever, and that's Jesus Christ and Muhammad Ali. All over. He did that. So let's not make it impossible that it's not in all of us. That's what I got to say for right now.
Beautiful, brother. So you gave us a journey there, and
Yes.
we know where we came from, family. How in the world can you know where you are if you don't know where you came from?
But it's in us. See, it had to be dealt with. Everybody's watching the Frankenstein wake up. And they think that, see, they put us to sleep for a while. But this is what the great President Donald Trump has done. Stupid people don't listen to smart people. They never did and they never will. China has put America to sleep. And Donald Trump's only job was to wake America up. Before he came on the scene, did nobody pay running the country no mind? Regardless of what they want to say about it, his job is basic and simple. He's a CEO. He know how to control people. As a matter of fact, no politician is feared to people. Why? Because they learned this here, that if you can control animals, you can control people. If you could raise animals, you could raise people. So they don't fear you. Just like they throw a dog a couple bones, they do that to the politician. And the politicians aren't that crooked as people think they are. No, we elected people that's not that smart. We got hypnotized just because he shaved his mustache off and put glasses on, that's intelligent. He put on a suit and tie. What do you expect the politician to do? He, after he gets so far, they put him in charge. He got to do what he got to do. So it's up to us now, the greatness amongst all people, to pick intelligent people that's going to rule. Now, I heard years ago when they used to talk about the Constitution, how when something goes against all the people, then it's unconstitutional. Well, ain't nobody in love with this rent and these mortgage payments, yet we say no. So it takes the cold facts of reality to wake up everybody. That's the next step in life. Ain't but so much you could take. You know, we human beings. This one claimed, well, it's gonna be so violent. No, it ain't. There's too many girls with guns. You're gonna find out how tough he really is. Now he getting along with a few carjackings and all that, but as more and more people divide, he gonna turn back into who he was before he had that mouth. You know, all of a sudden you rule the neighborhood because all you gotta do is stand around and act like your feet hurt, and other nationalities coming in. Other people know who he is. That's why a lot of them don't get high. But at the same time, the same dog with us bit there. It's breaking down everybody. So we all in this country together. We got to learn how to figure out something. And how can we do that? By respecting and accepting intelligent people amongst us. People with good heart. All of a sudden, it's supposed to be common that we don't trust one another. We just, no, that's a man's job to open those doors. It's the man's job to teach the woman, no, I'm going to unlock my door. Or, I'm going there, regardless of what you say. I'm going to leave my door open. Do I look like I got to lock my door? That's how a man run. And so that's what they did. The men are going to do what's natural. They're going to snap out of it. And you're going to unlock your door and dare somebody to come up in your house and take something. He better be family or something. But that's what happened. We had that freedom before. You understand?
True.
A real ruler, see, you can see a ruler when it comes to the drug empire because he don't play. He rules. If he runs it, he runs it, and he controls people. The leader of the gang can't beat everybody, but he's smart enough to get around. He got the goons that'll thump out anybody, but the leader of the gang. So in the drug world, in the criminal world, you see a leader, but that's the same thing when it comes to the rest of the people. So this is nature. This is what God put in. To this day, remember, during the 70s, late 70s, 80s, and 90s, nothing African American, nothing humane. Now you're seeing the dry bones come together, the feet bone connecting to the ankle bone. You see that. You see the dry bones come together. We can sit down and talk sharp about religion and don't be arguing. We used to do that. Now all of a sudden you can't talk to nobody about religion or your life is on the line. And then you got all these scholars in the Bible not understand the only way to get experience is through experience. You can't get it in a book. If you become book learned so much, then you become self-righteous. That was my reward at 19 years old. When I got in the truck with the contractor, that's exactly what he taught me damn near every day. The only way to get experience is through experience. Put the book down. All that studying and no, people don't go to college that long. You still into the book of religion instead of dealing with your fellow man, looking him in the eye, keeping a balance. Yes, your grandmother was right, but then you supposed to come from under your grandmother's behind. So this is what you take. So yeah, I'm gonna stop for a second.
Good, brother. Appreciate that. And my thing is okay, the book is one thing. Then
Yeah.
once you close it, what you gonna do then? So it's all about execution because
Yes,
people know too much that they don't do.
correct.
You walk around here like you a book, but you
You
ain't
are
doing nothing.
right because he hasn't. That's because they haven't learned from their elders. Always remember they divided the family.
True.
You understand? And the reality is somehow, even though I could tell you who my grandfather is, my great uncles, we came from Eastern Shore, Maryland on my father's side, Richmond, Virginia from my mother's side. That was common amongst us. So
Mhm.
those basic things when they come, because you have a lot of African Americans, they just got here. Their mother just left them in the hospital. They don't have no, so it's just a blank. So happened to the Caucasian. The other nationalities are healed up, but the Caucasian and the African American have that in common. They don't know where they came from. They just leave it alone rather than dig up hurt and pain that
mm,
Satan put them in. Every child is born a child of God. And the ways of this world and help them Satan change them. Every child, there's no such thing as you can't help your fellow man. The little kids and everything in the daycare center, they looking at you in hungry eyes. You can pick up a child before they fall into that. That's the work of a man and a woman, worrying about money. Or I'm gonna wear a $400 pair of socks and all that. That's child play. And then the rest of the conversation is just animal instinct, animal pleasure. Any animal could do what you talk about doing, having sex. So because you don't want to deal with reality, you have to find the strength within each other. And that's what people are going to do. They're going to talk because the world of freedom from been thousands of years is the word of mouth.
mm.
All this standing there just they're going to snap out because the cold facts reality is going to bring them together. They keep saying there's trouble coming. There's not a storm coming. This is just a human dignity that God put into everybody. All this, I ain't speaking. You following the women. You're supposed to lead the woman. I don't mess with him. Stay in your lane. This, that, and other. What did that accomplish? After a while, you're no more than a parrot in a velvet cage. There's
Mm,
no other place for that. Just
mm,
standing there running your mouth talking about money when knowing there's such thing as treating people right. It costs you no money to do that. Or sit there and watch the athletes have a good time. You can't teach your son how to throw a ball. You let a stranger teach your son how to throw a ball. So this human dignity, this is what it takes. Talking won't get it. This is what it takes. The cold factory out. So I have a lot of faith in my fellow man because they coming around. This they don't have the history to know that this was quiet 15, 20 years ago. But now look at God. Look at the people like turning down the music at last. How long was this game gonna go? You gonna hide behind some drugs and all that kind of stuff. No, you can't do that. And they only do that because they don't talk to people. It don't cost much. So as people begin to dignify themselves, they'll start talking to each other and become a human family like we did in North Philadelphia, like they seen in the African American community. How that was our nature down south. You would talk decent and somebody said, you from the South. They automatically knew that the values of human culture came from down there. Even if you was from North, it came from down south. But you just happen to have those values. It was for a reason. So yes, it's not supposed to be a slap in the wrist, and it's not supposed to be just things clean up. No, they have to know what went wrong. Just can't say, oh, they no, you have to understand that. You have to have an understanding amongst each other. And when you don't understand each other, you can't judge a person or judge anything until they understand what you understand. That's the only thing about what they understand is when you deal with each other and look in another person's eyes, whether they got money or not. This is in all of us. This is in all of us as human beings. When we stood up in our neighborhoods, people seen the value of it. He demanded that his daughter marry a black brother with dignity out the neighborhood because he knew he could take a chance with that. Yes.
that's
So we ain't as far back. It ain't like we're gonna fall up into the world because God put that in us to stand up.
right,
It ain't
brother.
gonna be everybody. They ain't got that kind of heart.
That's right. That's
You
right,
know?
brother. Alpha and Omega. And I think we undermine ourselves because of our experiences. You know, my thing is you got to get to you got to go through the fire. What do you say? You got to go through the storm to get to the calm. And we even say no pain, no gain. But the
Yeah.
thing is when the pain comes, we give up and give in.
Yeah,
So,
that's because they don't have role models.
right,
That's because remember they don't have the history of knowing how strong they are. You
true.
got if you don't know how strong you are, remember most people read how strong they are. Most people listen to other people, but somebody teaching them the strength they have within themselves.
Mm,
That's what bring it out. When you treating a person decent, and all of a sudden this person look like, and whoa, he didn't steal from you. You begin to understand now what we had in the 60s. what we had before integration,
Mm,
because we had leaders amongst us that had enough pure decency, and it told us to let it know what it's like to trust one another. That's what happened in the Black Panthers and the Nation of Islam and SNCC and other organizations. Let us know what it feels like to unlock the door on somebody. Freedom, human dignity. Animals had to do what animals do. Animals know they can't trust one another. He'll hide his food. He'll hide that bone. He don't leave it out. That's the instinct of an animal. The animals only do what's natural.
mm,
So the human dignity amongst us is what we have to strive for, which will blend itself out. And then I'm gonna come on stronger with this one. First of all, there's no such thing as the absolute truth. Why? Because what you believe in and what you think is right, and what you know is right, you go for everything of it and you studied hard. And that is it. But that truth changes with what? Information.
mm,
Information changes the very truth. So you to say I'm this and I'm that, it changes with information. You have to have an open heart to understand the truth, because information changes the truth. Once you get to the point where you won't listen to information, then therefore you believe that what you're saying is the truth. It takes you longer to grow out of it if your heart and mind don't open up. But there's no such thing as the absolute truth. There's no such thing as you can put this person away and they'll never change,
mm,
because you have to deal with the absolute, the open-mindedness of the information. And information comes every day, all day. Night information comes to you while you sleep. So
mm,
therefore, this world of absolute truth and I'm right and you wrong is non-existent.
mm, Well, that's a strong and powerful observation there.
Yes,
And
sir.
and to back that up is transformation. You
Yes.
know, well, you got to be willing to go into areas that you never been before.
Right.
That's elevation. And so again, they taught us good, better, best. But yet they say sometimes your best is not good enough. So what should you do? Do better.
Right.
So because there's always room for improvement. There's always room for growth. There's
Right.
always room for elevating.
But what happened, we in this society, excuse me cutting you off, when it comes to having an open mind and human growth and development, we mainly deal with money.
Mm,
But when it comes to the other side, because we could talk about money all day long. If you just want money, then you can just get nothing but money. You can lie, borrow, steal, and just get money if that's it. But the human part, the balance, gotta be there. So you got some people with money and they can't understand why I keep growing after money like a hog, like I'm never satisfied with whatever I got, because I only learned one side. The balance ain't there. And then you don't, and you block out somebody that don't have money. But actually, the person isn't poor; they just not thirsty like you are. So you have to understand the balance of it. This is what happens when you don't have a family. There's no such thing as you in this world by yourself. There's no such thing as that. And with this loneliness and greed and selfishness, that's what causes a lot of so-called confusion. All kinds of people fall in the hole and get right back up because they already have something in them, the dignity and strength and education to know that I could stand back up. But that takes us helping each other. Yes, it's yeah, man, do this and do that. But the unselfishness of the leadership cures all that. All right, that's about it for me. Go
that's
ahead.
true, brother. Hey, brother, that goes right into, what I'm going to reiterate what you're saying. I'm gonna piggyback off of what you're saying. This is we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to open up the mics and have one or two, because we started kind of late, and the brother, I mean, he threw this thing down, family. We got to learn how to listen. And don't forget, family, listening is a skill. Hearing is, children hear, anybody can hear, but listening is a skill. And what is listening? You could be able to hear more than what the person is verbalizing. Not only that, you can read between the lines and you feel them. We got to start feeling each other once again because we are all in this together. We got it together and we got to come out together. We got bit by the same dog. Why are we accusing each other of the bite of the dog when all of us been bit? We got to come together and get that damn dog. So the thing is that we are more than blood, family. We are the original people. That means that we had to come directly from God. And we are the living proof that God exists. We are all that family, but we undermine each other because like the brother was saying, Jesse was saying, that we get caught up into these worldly things with the drugs and the drinking and the sex and this money thing. But the real deal in life, we want to avoid because we don't want that kind of responsibility. That means you got to do some adjusting, some changing, and you got to reevaluate yourself. And the number one thing about us that I see is we are afraid of our individual selves. We're not afraid of each other. We're getting each other face in a minute. But when it's time for the man in the mirror, that's when we cower down or cower up or just coward. So I'm just being real. People don't like real people. You know, regular people don't like different. They don't like different. So that's why it says in the scripture, the messenger's hated in his own town. So sometimes we got to go somewhere else and get some respect. So we're going to have a couple minutes, family, and I'm going to read from my book, It Seems to Me, again. And it's just a paragraph. And it deals with the power of many. The power of many. This is chapter 6 in my book, It Seems to Me. The power, the things that it says right here, it seems to me, the truth that must be acknowledged. It doesn't matter. The more it hurts, the more important it's got to be then. Because my thing is why you hurting? Especially when it's the truth. Hurting for what? It goes to show you something's not right. And like the brother was saying, it's all about balance. Balance is the key to it all. So it says here, always remember there is strength in numbers, which represents power. Power is the ability to do something or act in a particular way, especially as a faculty or quality. Also, it means the capacity and the ability to direct or influence the behavior of others on a course of events. To sum it up, family, power is what we are as a people. Not only do we have power, family, we are power. We are power, and we must realize that. And also, family, it says that when studying our history, and there's where we are lacking. That's why we keep on building on quicksand. It doesn't go down all at once, it goes down slowly, but trust me, family, it's just a matter of time. And that's why a lot of people don't have a whole lot of confidence anymore, because a lot of things they do, it doesn't last, because they don't understand the processes of building. We must get those principles down, family. There's nothing new under the sun. So we must tap into it. Just like this COVID thing came on the scene, we threw God right out the window. Now it's all about COVID. Shame on us for doing that. All of this is an opportunity for everybody to see who's who. This is a time to man up, guard up, own up. So when studying our history, family, you know that people who do not look like you, do not look like us, such as the Europeans and the Arabs, they devised a scheme to rob us of our power due to their jealousy and their hatred, because they already know who we are. Now, shame on us for allowing somebody else to know us better than us. That's why the other people have no problem being around us, because they're always in control. Why? Because they know who they are. We need to know that. They learned that from us and they ran with it. And here we are standing up there, twiddling our fingers on this materialistic kind of nonsense. Just like I said before, the average brother is he-whipped. See, he feels that, oh, I'm making her feel good, so hey, I'm somebody. Hey, a dog can do that. So we got to man up, family. We got to own up. We got to man up. And it also says, in order to do that which is going to study, they had to study us first. In order to control us, you got to study your people first. Once you study them and know their ways, then you can come in and control their behinds. But we must not allow anybody to know us better than we know each other, know who we are. But when you disconnect, then that's when all hell break loose. A little wind can come by and just blow you any kind of way, but you keep on bragging about how much of a man you are based on somebody else's concepts. 21 family is not good enough. Because a man is not an age, a man is a mindset. A child is a mindset. And all children are foolish, because I know some 60-year-old children, because of their mindset, family. An elder is not so much an age, but an elder is also a mindset. Everything is a mindset. Because we are mind, don't forget. You can't even be spiritual if your mind is not right. I don't care how much you go to church, that's not good enough. Anybody can go on there, fake the game and stomping and all of this and coming out there, hey, what did you learn? Or what did he teach? I don't know, but I know I feel good. What is that? That's a child. A man continues to learn. He continues to elevate. He continues to change. He continues to adjust. He continues to move. He continues to metamorph. And he's willing to go into areas that he's never been before. That's what men do. That's what God-fearing people do. So don't tell me how much God is my father and all that. Okay, well, he might be, but what you doing? We have to challenge ourselves like that, family. Because spirituality is an individual thing. It's almost like a selfish thing. But religion is a group-oriented thing. Let's get that signal straight. Religion is a group-oriented thing made by man, created by man. Spirituality is a personal relationship with the Creator and your ancestors and the elders who are still here. Also, it says, here's what the enemy say and teaches us all these false teachings. We are all the same. God loves everybody. Love your enemy as you love yourself. We are all equal. Well, of course, if you're in charge, you can say that. But how can you say that when you under somebody else's thumb, working for them and talking about, I got a good job? There's no such thing as a good job, because that's why they say God bless the child who got his own. So we have to understand the reality of our journey, family. This is nothing new. All this stuff that's happening now happened before. Then we say nothing new under the sun. So why are we tripping? Why? Because we're so book smart that we're not concerned about the reality of things. So with that in mind, family, we must not continue to go for the fake moves that were forced on us by the oppressors. Power represents unified energy that is the same. See, energy recognizes energy. That's why a lot of people say, you don't know me like that. I say, brother, just because you said that, you don't even know you like that. Because energy recognizes energy. It recognizes itself. It also recognizes what is not itself. So we got to stop being so emotional. That's why you can't be equal to a female. She's emotional. Okay, that's her nature. She's emotional by nature, and we are intellectual by nature. But sometimes you can be overly emotional, and sometimes you can be overly intellectual. That's why you balance each other. And we're the only ones that can reproduce ourselves. That is God. See, that word God came on the scene 7,000 years ago. And if you study your history, family, God was first a man. I don't care what you know today. Let's go back to our roots. Because a lot of times what we're arguing over is ignorance. It is what it is. And I know that when you hear something new that comes from each other, we automatically reject it. Oh man, I ain't never heard that before. Okay, well, take it with you and throw it around. Take it with you and study it. We do that with everybody else, don't we? We go to school to learn their stuff. And no matter how hard it is, we'll find a way to get it. But when it comes to each other, we got a problem. And you know what that is? Represents self-hate. So we got to turn this thing around and be more honorable. Honorable. We got to start representing and honoring and representing those before us, because God blessed them with the blueprint of life. So we should be coming from their frame of reference. Don't be coming off of no emotions, because the average guy is too emotional. That's why the female is not intimidated. She feels equal. How can she look up to you if she feeling equal? Shame on us for not knowing what the processes are. And that's why our children get lost in the sauce and we end up blaming them. Shame on us, family. The man got to go head on and take his rightful position in the midst of the storm. Show yourself approval. You ain't got to do no whole lot of talk, because everybody see you anyway. So let's prove it to ourselves, because everybody gonna see it anyway. So with that in mind, family, I'm gonna do all I can to honor and represent. And in order to do that, you have to be bigger than yourself. How can you be a team player unless you qualify yourself? How? We understand in the system, oh, I want to be a football player. Well, you got to qualify yourself. I want to go to college. Oh, you got to qualify yourself. I want a job. You got to qualify yourself. So it's all about qualifying yourself, but it should come from the original man's perspective and not somebody else's. If we're eagles, why are you acting like a chicken? Oh, well, at least I'm a bird, but you're the wrong bird. You're the wrong bird, family, because eagles eat chickens. So we have to know our reality so we'll know how to maneuver through this thing that we call life. And you cannot fool life. If life gave you an opportunity to exist, how can you fool it? How can you fake life out? There is no way possible you can do that. So we have to be in tune and in line with life. So with that in mind, family, we're going to come back and I'm going to reintroduce our warrior, our brother Jesse, who's a master electrician, and he's a master thinker also. He's an elder, because he have a lot to share. You know, and it makes sense. It makes sense, family. So we must give each other the benefit of the doubt, because all of us been had. So now I'm going to open up. You can turn your mics on, or turn your mics on, family, and you can ask the warrior questions, or you can give observation or comments or whatever. Who's going to be the first to take the floor? Now just let me just state your name and where you're from. All right, now don't bite your tongue now. Don't wait till the show get off and now all of a sudden you want to talk now. Nah, here's your opportunity, family, for us to show each other some love and let everybody know that no matter how we've been had, And some of us still got some sense. And that's a miracle in itself. So we are the miracle.
Right. This is Brother Mike.
Where you
I'm
from,
down.
brother?
Okay, I'm in Virginia now. And Jesse looks familiar to me. Jesse, you look familiar. You lived in Germantown a good while, didn't you?
Yeah.
Okay, I think you know me. One thing I always admire about you, if you're the same person I'm thinking of, is that in the midst of all the gang war and everything, you had no part in that. You never dealt with that,
Well, I had a great part in that.
did you? You
Yeah.
didn't.
May.
You didn't. You
No,
didn't
let me say
seem
this
like you
here.
were active in it.
Oh, let me say this here. May of 1975, I was amongst that group that stood up and said, we're going to stop this gang war.
Okay. Well,
And we stopped it. It ain't take us a week.
that I can go with.
Yeah.
That's how I see you. I don't see you as an active member of Haynes Street or Dogtown or anything like that. I never seen you like that.
Well, what happened, when I moved to Germantown, I was really over in Flashytown.
Okay.
But I befriended guys at Chewing Top of Hockey, Haynes Street. But I
Yeah.
also befriended guys. I went to work at Sprague and Worcester, Somersville to learn to be an electrician.
Okay.
So I joined on the one group of people, but I was hanging with the other.
Yeah.
So I knew how to get along with all of them.
Yeah.
I knew how to get along with them. I stayed in the streets outside night and day. And no, when it come time to get ready to stop it, we spoke up. And
Yeah.
that's when the people told me individually, the authority, no, y'all was mature, but you didn't have nobody to measure it by, because outside of us, other people hadn't integrated. So no, we
Okay.
did a lot. And then too, my elders was around me. What made me, and when I was an electrician back in the early 70s being a contractor, didn't nobody
Yeah.
have no money. So we catered to them. And
Okay.
we catered to them when it wasn't no money, but it didn't hurt because we were young and strong. We made some money. Back in, say, the early 70s, I wanted to make 200 a day. All I did was work all day rather than try to
Yeah.
get it off one person. And because I was decent and clean and always, and I helped a lot of people, I started them off when they worked. Started them off. I gave them their first job just to start them off. A lot of people respect me for that. So
That's how I see you, bro.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
how
that's
I
how
see you.
I'm thankful I could feel everything I did in the past. That's how I could make these steps today. Where were you at up in Durham?
I was like you. I was not part of the gang culture, all because I worked all my life. You might know me because every now and then I did have my flaws because I used to drink with the guys in Vernon Park. Uh, and I used to sing. We had a singing group and we would serenade Germantown.
I used to listen. I remember. See, now here's my thing. All getting all of them that be drinking in the park. I wouldn't hang around people. I never drank.
No, that's
They
what I'm
they
saying.
they drank so much that they thought that I drank. No, I ain't never drank. But I used to watch them sing. And actually, I could tell you, I used to watch Frankie Beverly and them practice when
Okay.
they were the butlers. I
Yes.
wasn't. Oh, I went to Germantown, but I wasn't old enough to be when they were in Germantown. They used to sing in the fire towers where the police had to break them up so the kids go to school. And
Yeah.
then they practice at Warner Lane in between Baton and Germantown, what they call a hole in the wall. And they used to practice right there at night. Oh yeah, I ran into a lot. No, I enjoyed a lot of it.
You sure that wasn't us, man?
No, this was Frankie Beverly.
It's Frank Beverly.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
well, we
yeah.
must have we followed in his footsteps unknowingly because that's how we sang. We did the hole in the wall, and matter of fact, you can find us on Wall Lane.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you know the same people.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But I always seen that in you, brother. You know, I never questioned you or
Yeah.
anything, man. I just admired your walk. You understand?
Yeah.
Because even though you were around the people, you didn't act like those other people did. And yeah, as
Yeah.
far as the drinking thing is concerned, no, you was in the park with us, but I can never see you to pull up, turn the bottle up to your mouth. Never seen it.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I remember a few times you criticized that behavior.
Yeah.
But that was
Yeah.
that's beautiful. That y'all were on the same path there.
Yes,
Yeah.
And it goes
yes,
to show you that some of us can, be in an area but not be of it.
not be
Yeah.
of it. That's what I admired about the brother. He was never of it. He was
Yeah.
around. He's one of those faces, but he
See,
was not a participant.
I wasn't
So to speak.
afraid of it because I knew I wasn't going to use drugs or alcohol. So I was
There you
free to
go.
just be out there. I
Yeah.
could be around people. And I
Well,
and I never knew what that was until I got a colonoscopy about 6 years ago. And I was high. They told me to put my clothes on. I started laughing. So I called my friend. She said, that's what it feels like when you drink. I said, oh, that's what it is. Yeah.
All right, family. Well, brother Mike, I thank you for your participating and showing the brother some love and respect. And
Thank you
y'all
yes,
very
got
much.
to,
same
got to.
journey.
Thank you very much.
And both of y'all walk the same journey, and both of you are true examples of what can be done if we put our minds to it.
That's right.
Because everything is a mind thing. So is there anybody else who would like to make a comment or you have a question or observation for the brother? Because I'm sure all of us got caught up into something, warriors. So don't be shy. You know what I mean? This is the man-to-man thing here. So we want to show, allow people to know that, yeah, some of us got stuck, caught up. But guess what? It's not always how you start, but it's always how you finish. So you should be smiling and be anxious to share your journey, to let everybody know that you're the kind of person that you can overcome. All you gotta do is put your mind to it and have that will and desire. So before we close, family, is there anyone else? If not, then Brother Jesse, I'd like for you, we have like a couple minutes left, and I would like for you to have the last word before we close out.
All right. All right. What I've seen, because I've been in everybody's house and everybody's neighborhood the last 54 years, I see that even though it might seem impossible, other people that didn't grow up in the African American experience, these times brought everybody down to the same level. The Caucasian eventually speak up without drinking and join in and break bread with us. And when they start doing that, you'll see a hell of a change. But right now, they're still afraid because they've been lied to. If you listen to a Caucasian that don't like black people, he could go on for a half hour talking, and you ain't never seen that. They've been lied to keep them at bay, say they don't ask you nothing. But they are our brothers too. Some people say they are cousins, but they are with the same heart. Those of them that have, and many of we're human. And we were, the reason why all this is possible, because men make men out of men. Regardless of how much this goes this way and that way, men strengthen men. Men make men out of men. Women can raise men. Women do their job, but there's a balance. When it's a man's job to make men out of men, to put your gun down, to talk to one another.
Come
One
on,
guy
brother.
say, well, get on with a fair one. Another guy say, no, let's break up this fair one. All that kind of stuff. Men do that. That's what happens. A man makes sure he share with another man. That means a man is unselfish. What happens is, by the families being broke down, this is what actually happened. One of the main attributes. The nature of a woman is a very selfish nature. That's her nature, but it's not a put down. It's a balance in a man's life. A man that don't have a woman will give away damn near everything he got. Now, when the young men are raised totally by women, then they become selfish. They had a selfish value. They get along with that. The reason why she sits there and want to know, well, why is it that my sister can't get rid of this guy? He ain't this and he ain't that. The reason why he she can't control him because he's more of a woman than she is. He know it. She know it. She know he know it. He know she know it. He know his sister know that. But she can't do nothing with him because everything his grandma taught him, he remembers. So therefore, it's not really peaceful to be totally raised by a woman. But a strong woman allows her child to learn from everybody, a wise woman. But these things happen.
Well, that's
So,
beautiful.
you know,
That's
as time
beautiful.
goes on and it's moving quickly, the doors are starting to open up more and more. Like I said, this ain't the end of the world. This is where leadership comes from.
That's right. This is only our beginning, family.
That's right.
To go to the next level.
Right.
We got to go to the next level. Just like the brother said, absolute. Okay, well, if it's absolute, then what you know, just stop growing then. Just roll on over and get it over with. See, man means mind. It means we always have the ability to take things to another level in spite of whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, it matters what it is, but to the real minds, it doesn't matter because there's no thing that is greater than the mind. The mind is the thing that's going to get you where you need to go. So with that in mind, family, I'd like to thank you, brother Jesse, for blessing us with the knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding that you have, that you shared with us. And guess what? We don't even have to go through what you went through to get it, because you gave it to us freely, and that's what you call true giving. Most people are into trading. I give you this, you give me that. That's not really giving, that's trading. My thing is when I say what I say and do what I do, I give it freely, and you don't even have to go through what I went through, and you don't have a clue on what I had to go through to get what I got. Because I don't feel it's necessary to have to always say that. But to explain to you, what my journey, other than motivating and inspiring and encouraging you to move forward no matter what the situation it might be. So with that in mind, family, I'd like to say this to you: to continue to stay strong and keep your faith where it belongs. That's always the challenge being in this world. And also do your best and let God do the rest. You got to know when to hold and know when to fold. In order to do that, you got to have a sharp discerning spirit to know the difference, so you won't be using emotions like we always do, going on our feelings that's already all tricked up. So we got to understand, what's going on. So, and also, family, we got to be more honorable, to represent the ones before us. Don't you know that we are the ancestors having a human experience? So let's keep the connection with the spiritual ancestors, because we will soon join them and then transform into something else that's great, because we are the greatest. And that's why the brother saying about Muhammad Ali, man, he was one of the greatest minds of inspiration, and influencing one another, giving you that good feeling that I can do better, or that I'm more than what I am. And I thank Joe Frazier for being there too, because Joe Frazier was part of his motivation to do better. So they bettered each other. So my thing is thank the Creator for everything. Right thinking is a pyramid. Right thinking, right giving, and right eating. That's holistic, with the Creator in the middle. So family, I like to say to you, happy new journey, happy new life, and happy new you. This is Dr. Sadiki Baye, your servant. And I thank the listening audience too for supporting this. Wow. Man, look, we can do it. We proving it right now. All we got to do is keep it going. Don't forget, everything is based on rhythm. So that means we got to do it long enough to get a rhythm. Once you get a rhythm, science takes over now. And what science am I talking about? The science of inertia, the law of inertia. Things that are in motion have a tendency to stay in motion and pick up as it goes along. But we don't stick to nothing long enough. But we have to be more and more and more intentional until we get it. Until the next time, family, see you next Tuesday on time with your thinking cap on so that we can continue to elevate together. That's what you call power. Thank you, family. Happy new you, happy new journey, happy new life. Peace.
Peace.
Hotep.
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 And Toda.
Toda.
Toda means thanks in Hebrew. So, but we are all that. So don't get tricked up over names and terms because we are more than that. So with that in mind, family, continue on, stay on the battlefield, and never get tired.
All right. Peace.
Peace.
All right.